Hi, I'm Rachel and this is my allotment. Today I'll be taking you on a little tour around the allotment, showing you what's growing end of June, early July. Right, so we're walking into my allotment now. So this is where the allotment starts. The cold frame that the tripod is sitting on is currently full of bin bags, so you're not going to want to see that. But behind me, I've just planted out my winter squash. So I've got lots of big pumpkins that are not so big at the moment, but they will grow and they're quite rapid developers. So I'm not too worried. I think they'll get going pretty soon. So these beds here, I've just cleared as much as I can from them. But what I wanted to keep was these lovely bolted leeks, because you can see that they've got these lovely, well, they're alliums, so it's got allium flower head, and the bees love them, and the hoverflies and all the other insects. And then here you can see this is a bolted parsnip, and parsnips are biennial, so in their second year they'll flower. So that's what they're doing at the moment. And again, hoverflies all over it. And I like to encourage wildlife on the allotment, so I thought, why not? They look quite nice as well, quite nice structural plants. And then obviously I've just planted out, quick deadhead, I've just planted out a couple of cosmos. I've left these poppies in as well because again, they're lovely. They're sort of self-seeded wildflowers, but I thought I'd leave them in anyway. This bed of winter squash, I've done something a little bit different, and I've put these wool pellets, well they're now sort of broken down a little bit, but put these wool pellets around the squash themselves just to see if it will help retain a little bit of moisture, because squash are thirsty plants, and also just feed them a little bit just as they're trying to establish themselves. So we'll see how they go. Hopefully it'll all be good. Then this bit behind me, I have some lovely currant bushes. Can't remember which type of currant. And then I've got my Subpod situation. So I've got my compost bin in the middle. I have an arch. I've got some gladioli at the back, and I've got sweet peas growing up. I walk backwards. Here we'll go past my apple tree. I've got a big apple tree. It's all cooking apples. And then I've just planted this, well, it's a wildflower bed. I chucked a few things in here, loads of seeds, and it's mostly just self-seeded from last year. The thing that is most abundant, these nice little daisies. It look like a bit of a tangled mess, but I promise you they're lovely. So here we have the other side of the apple tree. In this bit here, I have all of my Brussel sprouts growing. They're under this big protection, which is actually my old polytunnel, and I've just put some netting over the top. Down here, I've got my rhubarb, it's growing very well. I've got garlic over here, got some carrots. Some of them I sowed individually in little toilet roll tubes, so not sure how they'll do. But some of them I've transplanted. So this is a real carrot experiment bed. Nothing may grow. Well, we'll just have to see. So this bit here, this is all outdoor tomatoes. On the edges, I have nasturtiums. These were self-seeded over here, and I've just transplanted them all. Some of the tomatoes actually have fruit on now, which is very exciting. I've got this obelisk, and growing up that I have a chocha. I think they're cucurbits maybe. The taste of them is kind of like a pepper, but it's got really thin walls. Anyway, they're really prolific and just something that grows well outside or inside. So I would definitely recommend if you want to try something different and that's relatively easy to grow. Magically in the greenhouse. Over here I have more tomatoes growing. I've got garlic that I've just pulled up, so that's curing and drying. I have all of these peppers and chilies in pots. Everything in here is being fed by a watering system. I have this irrigation system, which is little micro drippers, and I have these auto pots. This is my favourite tomato this year. It's called Dean Haley's Rainbow and it's variegated. This is my new hanging basket that I've just planted up. What I've put in here is cucamelons. So I'm not sure how well you can see, but I've got one tiny little cucamelon just starting to form. I hope they do well in hanging baskets. All a bit of an experiment. These beds here, I have beetroot, I have garlic, and I have parsnips. So beetroot is, if I have a little feel around, feels okay. It's just about swelling up. One thing about beetroot is it really needs a lot of water to be able to get those big roots. I've got lots of different varieties in here, like a nice multicoloured mix. I really like the yellow ones because they taste a lot sweeter. And this garlic, not quite ready to be pulled yet. What I'm going to do is wait for the stems to flop over, and at that point you kind of know that it's ready and everything will kind of go yellow. So while I was on honeymoon, all of my courgettes died in my greenhouse. So I had to go to the garden centre the other day and buy whatever courgettes were left. And I bought these courgette ambassador plants. So I've got 3 of these, as far away from my sunflowers as possible, but my lovely wall of sunflowers. The reason being that sunflowers take so much watering. They will just drain everything from the soil. So I'm trying to keep them as separate as possible. Then this bed here, I've got potatoes. I love potatoes. Potatoes are so easy to grow. Anyone can grow potatoes. Over here, we've got asparagus. Here, I've got some astrantia. They're lovely flowers and they work quite well in bouquets. And we have achillea. Achillea is great for wildlife. They're so pretty. Over here, we have my direct sown beans. So I've got 2 little teepees. I sowed about 3 seeds together. I think probably 2 have popped up at each bamboo pole. Around it, I've put some sunflowers and some cosmos at the back. I love beans. What do we have next to the beans? We have the strawberries. My strawberries have done really well this year. I think it's a combination of making sure I thin out all of the runners in the springtime. I've mulched them. What I've used is Bloomin' Amazing. I have used straw before and straw works pretty well too. And not only does that keep the moisture into the soil, but it also feeds the plants as well. And then on top of all that, I've got this very cute little windmill. It's pretty windy up here, and I reckon that it's been scaring the birds off. I think we should probably skim over the collection of a lot of pots and the compost bins because you don't want to see the mess that is. I hate to see it, but we've got bare soil. What I am going to do is I'm going to direct sow some lettuce in here because this is a really shady part of my allotment. So it's absolutely perfect for plants which don't thrive so well in the sun and are more likely to bolt. On my right, we have the cabbages and we have the cauliflower. Again, I've put these in a space that's nearer the hedge so they're shaded a little bit more because they tend to bolt a little bit more easily. That is, they go to seed prematurely. I always like to grow lots of potatoes in grow bags. Potatoes are so easy to grow. This little patch here is my flower bed. I've got lots of dahlias, I've got foxgloves, I've got achillea, these are snapdragons, these are hollyhocks, I have more dahlias, I've got lilies, I've got sunflowers and alliums. Everyone always comments on the alliums because they're such huge heads. I think I may have finally cracked getting things that are taller at the back and smaller at the front. It should be something so simple, but for some reason I always end up putting small things at the back. This year I'm on to a winner. This is the carrot bed, which I fear may be a little bit too densely packed this year. We'll have to see. In this cold frame, my broad beans are growing away. And as you can see, as a a little comparison. These broad beans were grown outside of the cold frame and these inside. You can see there's a massive height difference, and there's actually been much more productivity in the cold frame than outside. I love broad beans, but they do take quite a lot of an effort to cook, especially if you're double podding them when you're cooking. Well, that's about the end of my tour, but thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe.